We've just had some huge duo splits. Some of the biggest names in EU are now playing with completely different teammates. I want to get into all that in this video, but first, let's discuss yesterday's Divisional Cup. So we'll start off with the tournament winners. F0cus and Th0masHD ended up winning the Divisional Cup in only their first week as a real duo. Thomas managing to avoid the second place curse by winning this tournament. He hasn't had an ideal year, obviously failing to make globals was a big disappointment for him, even though the circumstances around that were interesting. Obviously they missed out on one game in heats, otherwise you have to imagine they probably would have made the grand finals and have had a good chance of making globals, but that's all in the past. Thomas and F0cus in their first week of playing together have managed to win the Divisional Cup. It wasn't the easiest win, they ended up getting contested in game 6 at Canyon Crossing. Chap and Flixie landed on them. Despite this, Thomas managed to survive a lot of the games as solo after F0cus went down, managing to clutch just enough points to get the win. The question will be asked as to whether this is a permanent duo. I'll get into that a bit later on in the video. In second place, finishing 7 points behind first and narrowly missing out on the win, we have the Russian duo of F0cus and Th0masHD. This is another one of those teams with players that didn't really make much of an impact during trios, but since duos have been announced have looked a lot better. F0cus and Th0masHD managed to win a game of the Eval Cup this week, so they're clearly in form. Managing a second place like this is a huge statement. We had Trulex and Chicho in third place. They're a team that haven't really got up to speed since globals has ended. I'd say this is their first big placement, so fair play to them. Shark and Teeny came fourth. We did expect them to be contested at Supernova Academy. They were contested in the first game, but they ended up winning and they were uncon for the rest of the tournament. Despite this, they were unable to repeat their win from last week, but fourth place is still a pretty decent result. In fifth place, we have the new team of Dinos and Fyron. Dinos was previously with Franek, who we played trios with this year. This is a new team, and fifth place, a pretty good finish. The Spanish duo of Yarko and Kier managed sixth place, and in seventh, we had Maxi King and Cratey. In eighth place, we had Pixie and Wox. Still not an ideal placement for a duo of their quality, but we are starting to see something from these guys. Prior to this week, it's fair to say they've been underperforming. Even in day one of Divisional Cup Opens, which was on Wednesday, they played poorly, only managing 80 points. But that's where they turned things around. They managed a huge 605 points on day 2 of Opens, which is just an immense achievement. They even started off well yesterday, managing back-to-back second places in their first 2 games. Unfortunately, they were triple contested at their drop spot of Rangers Rest, so they couldn't actually make an end game after that. We still need to see a little bit more from these guys. They're both such impressive individual players that if their chemistry isn't quite working, they should look for other options. However, yesterday was a step in the right direction. As we get closer to the end of the year and FNCS starting, maybe we'll see an improvement in their performance. I've seen a lot of discourse about whether we should be judging teams during the off season. I personally have some views on that. Yes, I get that not every team will be trying that hard during the off season because we're so far away from FNCS, and yes, I understand that we should be viewing results with a pinch of salt, but I still think if you're a top quality team, you should be looking to do well in every tournament, and if you're simply not trying, if you're not doing your best, then you should be judged for that. Yes, this is a time to experiment, yes, this is a time to try new things, but we're still talking about good players, and if they're underperforming, you have to look at the reasons why. So I guess my point is, I can understand why people say that teams don't do well because it's the off season, but at a certain point, I think that's just an excuse. We're seeing a lot of underrated duos do well at the moment because they're working hard, and I think they'll reap the rewards for that in 2026. I think it's unfair to say that the tournaments in the off season don't mean so much just because the big pros aren't placing high. If a player wants to be the best of the best, then the off season shouldn't be an excuse for their performance. I could discuss this at length, but let's get back to the leaderboard. In 9th place we had Pix and Scroll. Last week we had the news that Scroll was going to be playing with Mr. Savage. Since then, Mr. Savage has gone on holiday to Mexico, meaning Scroll is playing with Pix as a fill duo. They have been looking good though, so I wonder if there's a chance that they stick. Scroll now has a lot of options. He could stick with Savage, play with Pix, or potentially reunite with Sky. More on that later. In 10th place we have Yanis and Rax, a team that have been doing well during the off season. This is the exact kind of duo that I think should be getting more credit than they are. Yes, it's the off season, yes, FNCS is ages away, but they're playing well right now and we should recognise that. Let's go through some of the big teams that didn't quite make the top 10. In 12th place we had Chap and Flixie. They were in range to do well coming into Game 6. They obviously made the big play, landing on Thomas and F0cus at Canyon Crossing. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for them and they dropped to 12th place. In 13th place, we had Velo and King Cringe, a duo that I seem to be mentioning almost every single video because they have been doing so well lately. They also got second in Opens, which is a great achievement. They've even been earning in NA West Victory Cups, so they really are working hard at the moment. I will keep on saying it. You can expect to see both of these players doing really well in 2026. In 15th place, we had Swizzy and Vanya, They did very well in opens, managing to win the whole thing. We also now have Swizzy streaming events on Twitch, which is quite fun. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it happen in this finals as they were contested. We had some more big duos that underperformed, Veno and Chino coming in 18th, Cami and Hari coming in 23rd, Sky and Marius coming in 26th, more on them later. Then we had Ping and Kiro in 28th, their first bad placement as a duo, Vidil and Reason in 29th, and Akira and Karama in 42nd. There were also some big duos that didn't make finals, some of the most notable ones being F0cus and Pablo Wingu, Th0masHD, and Malibuca and Panzer. Before we get into the new duo updates, let's take a look at the elimination stats. We had Th0masHD in first with 17 kills, Shark in second with 16, and F0cus in third with 15. Okay, so let's discuss the big duo changes. It all started from two duos splitting. Vico and Eyedrop are no longer playing together, and Sky and Marius have split. From that, we now have Marius and Eyedrop as a new duo for 2026. I'm interested to see how they'll do. It's fair to say that Marius and Sky underperformed. I think a lot of us had high expectations for them, but they couldn't quite live up to them. Eyedrop is a proven player, and I think he'll work well with Marius. I was also excited to see Vico playing with Eyedrop next year. Clearly they had some chemistry issues, so we won't be seeing that duo. Sky is looking for a new teammate. At this moment in time, I don't know who that is. Maybe he's going to reunite with Scroll, who knows. What is interesting though is that Vico has found a new duo. He will be playing 2026 with Malibuca. This is pretty interesting considering their history of this chapter. If you don't know, Malibuca, Ping and Wox were first after day 1 of Major 2, and then they got contested at Lone Wolf Lair by Vico, Veno and Flixie. Malibuca, Ping and Wox then got revenge in the next major by landing on Vico, Veno and Flixie when they had a chance of winning. Clearly there's not too much bad blood there though, because we are going to be seeing Vico and Malibuca as a duo. I'm not 100% convinced on this team. It's definitely not one that many people would have expected. If Malibuca is locked in for 2026, I think they could do very well. We'll have to wait and see. Now, Vico playing with Malibuca means that Panzer is now looking for a teammate. I'm sure a lot of fans will be hoping for Panzer and Savage as a duo. I would like to see that, but I don't think it's likely. My prediction is that Panzer will play with Yapko. Yapko currently looking for a duo. They did well in trios together, managing to place third at Globals. I think that could make sense. But as of right now, we don't have any information on who Panzer's going to play with. It's all just speculation. We'll get into some other situations. Now that Th0masHD is playing with F0cus, if they do stick as a permanent duo, that would leave Queasy without a teammate. Obviously, Queasy currently out in Dallas playing with Curly. He did queue up on EU. He played with Fighto. Obviously, he was on high ping though, so he didn't manage to qualify. My expectation is that if Queasy is left without a teammate, he will play with Mustache. Th0masHD have been poor over the last month. I know Mustache hasn't been grinding that much, but still, I don't think that's a duo that's going to work into the future. For me, it's only a matter of time before we see Queasy and Mustache as a real team. We also had F0cus announce on stream that he's taking a break from playing with Pablo Wingu. Their placements haven't been great since they formed as a team. We also know that Fred likes to freshen up his team options. We saw that in the Star Wars mini-season this year when he ended up playing with Veno and Queasy instead of his normal trio. Fred's going to be playing with Hellfire for the rest of the season, and my expectation is that he will go back to Pablo Wingu when the time comes. We now also know that Mongrel and Mixon are going to be a real team. Combeck got back from holiday and announced that he is looking for a new teammate, which means that Mongrel and Mixon are sticking. This is great news for Mongrel fans. I think this team has some real potential. I'll fly through some of the other changes. We had Gearas and Ghost split. Gearas is now playing with Franek, whilst Ghost is now playing with Hyper. All those guys have experience from playing with each other during trios. We saw some other new teams in the Divisional Cup this week. Syned and Kovacs, Pradaj and Faded Pigeon, Darky and Radion, Tiddy and Winther, and Yapko and Apple. Although with that last one, I'm not sure we'll see them again. Let me know what you think about the new teams in the comments below. Which duos excite you? Which duos do you think are going to do well in 2026? I want to know what you guys think. Thank you very much for watching the video. See you in the next one.